Did you see my like joke of a title the other day when I was like world's seventh best Delver player or whatever plays Arena? You know, like
Seventh best?
well, I put world's seventh best, and then after this weekend, I put world's ninth best
Oh, that's a good one.
as like a self dagger.
That's good. That's clever. Wait, did you stream today? I thought you were sick.
I wasn't sick. I just like didn't feel like up to being like super entertaining, and I've been super busy the last couple of days because like I've been dealing with that bank account stuff, and then like,
Yeah.
dude, it's been just a huge pain in my ass because like they didn't. The person who helped me was super helpful and made it really easy, but they didn't like walk me through the steps they were supposed to walk me through. Like they were like, yeah, like your checking got compromised, so we're gonna get rid of your checking or whatever, blah blah blah, and so like. She didn't tell me that she also took out my savings account. They also locked my online account. And then while I was there, I was like, can I just open? She only told me about the checking thing. So I was like, can I just open a new checking? That takes like an hour. So they're like, sure. And they just don't transfer my money over. They mailed me my money, like in checks, which I finally got today or whatever. And so I had to go back and I was like, can you put this into my checking and this into my savings? She's like, you don't have a savings. So I was like, how do I not have a savings account? I've had one with you for 15 years, 18 years or whatever. And they were just like, yeah, they got rid of that too. And I was just like, oh, okay. So I just have nothing. And so like all my bills are trying to be paid right now, like all my auto pays, and I just keep getting emails like, hey, this got denied, this got denied, this got denied. So like I have to go set up everything, and that's a big pain in the ass.
God, yeah, that just sounds miserable.
Yeah, it's just, and like I had to like operate in Baltimore this weekend. Like I talked to Ross about it ahead of time. I was like, hey, I might have an awkward question or two for you. I mean, I might need a favor at some point this week. I might need you to pay for something. And he's looked at me funny. I told him what happened. I was like, yeah, I just have like no money in any of my accounts. I was like, I have a credit card on me, but I mean like, if something happens, then I have access to zero money,
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, yeah, it's cool. So thankfully it showed up this morning and it was supposed to be here like tomorrow, I think. So at least I got that taken care of, but still my online thing is messed up. So like I have no online banking thing. Yeah, it's just a giant pain in the ass. Rudy, did you put the notes yet in the show notes in yet? Yeah, I'm gonna stop bitching.
Sorry. So
No, you're good.
Intro,
Jinx.
So it's in specific regards to the MPL.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so I'll probably just pop on right at the end of the cast.
All right, cool. I'll just host you straight off then.
Oh yeah,
Just,
my boy.
we can just move everybody over to you. Also, I kind of just wanted to like play limited Magic today, and I didn't really feel like streaming, so just did like a couple drafts. I have been crushing this format.
Wow.
Like absolutely crushing it.
You're owning.
Like I think I'm on like a 3 or 4 streak in a row of 7 wins. I 7-0'd on stream the other day. My deck was bananas.
Bananas is a powerful thing to be.
Yeah, definitely.
What are like the sickest rares to open?
I had Theater of Horrors that felt really unbeatable as long as you weren't like already dead when it started to do things. You know what I mean? I pretty much never activated. Huh?
The black white enchantment also is just like
Yeah, that card's on. I've never beaten it, but I've never had it. But I've like literally just never beaten it. And then what's up, Goober? And then I'm trying to think of rares. I had like a triple rare or quadruple rare deck today. I opened a rare in my colors in every pack because I opened Rakdos today. The big demon that flips coins.
God.
That was good. And then
Coin flipper.
I'm trying to remember what I opened in pack 2 because I opened another red black. Oh, I opened the priest. That you sacrifice 2 other creatures.
Oh, that one's insane.
And then opened Bedevil in pack 3. So I just opened 3 on color rares, took all of them, and they got past Electro Dominance. That card is not
Is that card actually that good?
Yeah, like it's a little slow, but like the thing is like it allows you to. It's like a removal spell plus a combat trick, right? Because like during their combat phase, you're like you can even do it in the middle of blocks if you want, depending on what it is you're putting into play. Because like so many things have come into play triggers, but like another thing that I did was like they're like like play like a riot creature beforehand to give haste, like attack you with everything. I'm like deal 4 to that thing, put the 4-drop into play. And I'm just like. I had a Simic deck with the 2-drop that's like 1 in a green that you pay like 6 to make it a 6/6.
No.
It's just a common. It's a common. It's a 2/2 for 2, and you can like
awesome.
you can adapt. Yeah, I had like 5 of them. Like this card's not beatable. I had mass manipulation in that deck. The XX blue or whatever. And like that card, as long as you can board it out in the matchups where you're on the defensive or whatever. But if like you play against another green deck or a deck that's just, trying to nickel and dime you, like you just take 2 of their things on turn 8. You're like, give me that and that, like, or if you have to, you're just like mind control this one thing, for 6. So it's literally just a 6 mana mind control or 8 mana like double mind control. So the card's like, it looks worse than it is, like way worse than it is.
All right, ready to start play this?
All right, so what are we talking about?
We're gonna talk about MPL.
Okay.
Then we're gonna talk about
This
the
weekend.
championship tournament. We're gonna talk about Caleb being in, Booglan being not being in,
Mhm.
and then we're gonna talk about new standard for Dallas.
Okay. All right, let's do it.
Also,
Oh,
interesting
look at your little
story-
glasses.
What?
Yeah, I had the glasses on.
It was. Oh yeah, I like Tannen wearing glasses.
The problem is it reflects the screen too much. Like when I look up at the screen, like my eyes are just, computer screens, but I'm trying to keep the screens darker. So, all right. Anyway,
Also, kind of an interesting story. Right before we start, they did a state of product design,
Mhm.
and they were just talking about like what went well and what did not go well. And they're asking like, do you have any ideas for products? Be sure to ship them. But they said like the signature spellbook thing went well, but like the San Diego Comic-Con stuff was kind of a bust, and they're discontinuing dual decks basically.
yeah, that should have happened a long time ago.
Yeah, I agree. But,
They're gonna do challenger decks again, which I think is a great idea. I think they're gonna start doing it either into other formats, or they're gonna start doing the like modern specific packs sometime soon, where they can put cards into a format.
Battle Bond was extraordinarily popular.
Well, yeah. Those things are always really popular because here's the thing: it appeals to the masses of Magic, which is the casual player. What were you saying about to say? Well, yeah, what were we about to say, Brad?
Oh, the like ones where they directly inject cards into the modern.
Yeah,
format.
let's say they like wanted to make Baleful Strix legal or whatever. They just have like packs that like the mythics in it. It would be like a master set, except for like these cards are legal in modern, so it would be like
Yeah,
mana
master sets are
because like
reprints.
because like Manamorphose needs to be reprinted, right? Like
Yeah.
certain cards need to be reprinted. Like
Okay. All right then. Tannen, you want to do intro?
yep, let's hit it.
All right. I'm gonna start the recording. 5,
Please don't put your name in modern. Jesus.
3. Yeah, please no. 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Grinders Podcast. I'm Tannen Grace, and as always, I'm joined by Rudy Brixa and Bradley Carpenter. How's it going, boys?
Yeehaw.
Was that a yeehaw? Are you already in Dallas? Like, are you already in Texas? I know that's
No, I'm
coming up.
getting ready for the weekend though. I'm prepped.
You're prepped.
This is my play testing.
Getting all hyped up. I'm actually going to be doing something very exciting this weekend. I don't want you to feel too bad, boys, but I'm going to be working.
I'm gonna be working this weekend too.
Yeah, I mean, some of us have real jobs, Tannen.
Oh, what's that?
Wow.
All right. Anyway, I need to find my cowboy. I need to find my cowboy hat. I don't know where it is.
Listen,
I'm
just
sure
wanna-
Jonathan Job has an extra cowboy hat that he'd be more than happy to.
I think he has mine. Actually, I think the extra hat he has is my hat. Anyway, what were you about to say, Brad?
I was gonna say it's a full time job running these streets. So,
God.
and,
Oh my god.
It's a full-time job, briskly walking these streets because we all know that we don't run.
It's more like a power walk.
Yeah.
I burn about the same amount of calories. I can listen to podcasts.
I could just picture you like power walking on the street with like the wrist, the sweatbands on the wrists and stuff, and like maybe even like some paddings on the knee. And do you do like the really fast one where like you have to make sure you get like the hip motion and your hands are up in the air? You know what I'm talking about, like your hands.
It's a full body workout.
Yeah.
I can imagine Brad. If you ever saw Malcolm in the Middle when
Mhm.
when the dad
Was a competitive one, right?
was doing the competitive power walking.
Yeah.
I'm totally imagining Brad right now just in the helmet and like full bodysuit, just killing it.
Yeah. I think the rule is 1 foot has to be touching the ground at all times. Like I think there's like actually competitions of this, and if both of your feet are off the ground at one time, it's considered running. I don't know how I know these rules. Don't ask. But I watch a lot of sports, so in sports ball, and I think that's like actually the rule. As long as 1 foot is touching the ground at some point in time, you are power walking. So,
Huh. Interesting.
Whatever.
Today I learned.
I can't believe that we're talking about
Hey.
power walking.
this is now a power walking podcast. We'd probably be the only one. We're probably the only one.
Garrett, bet.
Of course, there's probably been another one, but I'm just saying. Let's be real. It's
We are-
probably
we are
Power
a
Walking
Marvel- We
podcast?
are a Marvel
Probably.
podcast.
yeah. We're the only podcast in the world where you get your Marvel news and your power walking pro tips at the same time. We're like the Costco. We're like the Costco of podcasts. You just come here and just find things you never knew you needed.
You're saying that, but I feel like we're gonna get a DM from some other podcast, and we're like, "Hi, we heard what you had to say. Just wanted to let you know we actually do cover Marvel and power walking, so we are first."
Yeah, step off our brand. Yeah, you're encroaching on our brand. Back up. Back up. But anyway, let's kind of like, I guess, get down to business. So there was a tournament this weekend, and I would usually ask you guys, like, anybody do anything fun this weekend, but we were all there. How was Baltimore for you two?
It was okay.
It was okay. Well, Bradley and I played the same 75 at the tournament, and neither one of us were extremely happy with the 75. I wasn't like, I don't want to come off negative and sound like I was super dissatisfied with it, but I definitely made a joke about it after like round 2 or 3. And, like Ross or Jim or somebody was like, how's your deck? And I was like, it's not good. I did play Grixis Delver like usual. Kind of went back to like an old school build of it. Bob Wong has been like killing it online with this version, and maybe like it's better in the represented metagame that's online. Do you think that's maybe partially what happened to us, Brad?
Yeah, I think so. That, and it could be like, he had a small sample size. He's also pretty good.
He's very
And, like,
good.
Maybe he just like didn't play against enough of the other decks, but I lost so much this weekend. It was not a good time.
Yeah, I lost a lot day one. Like I may have been 4 or 5. There's a possibility of a 3-6 in there. I'm not sure. I won a lot on day 2. Like I 5-1 day 2, and the one loss, like I just got destroyed and stuff too. But team events, it's not always about just your personal records, about your team's record. And I was the only one apparently who could have sort of a bad record and still make it out with their team, because we did okay in the open. We got a gentleman's 9th place for the Max Daggers. We kind of knew it was coming. Like there was 3 teams fighting for 7th and 8th, and we were 3-2 at some point in the tournament. We lost a lot at the beginning. I think we lost like round 1 or round 2 or something like that, and then again in like round 4. So yeah, we kind of felt that coming, but we did win a pretty insane match in the last round to give us a good sweat. So I was pretty happy to even be in competition for, making the top 8 after starting at 3-2. So, not a bad weekend overall. Had some pretty insane matches. We played against Ryan Overturf's team in the Swiss on camera. So if you wanted to go back and watch that, I highly recommend it. I was the feature player for that round, and I played Legacy against the Shadow player on the team. Their name escapes me. I literally just blanked on their name. It's like, I can't remember, but that was quite possibly one of the best matches I've been a part of in a long time. We both said it during the match, like no matter what happens, this has been one of the best matches I've played in a long time. It was pretty cool.
Lynn.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was Liz. I couldn't remember her last name, and I was gonna say I know a bunch of Liz's, so I was gonna say the wrong last name, and I definitely didn't want to do that. And so congratulations to them on winning the tournament. Ryan Overturf coming out of the commentary booth. Your bestie, Brad. How excited were you?
While this weekend was not a success in match wins, overall it was a fantastic weekend between just hanging out with all my friends and also getting to watch Ryan crush the finals and Patriots win the Super Bowl.
Oh, get out of here! Like you actually care about that.
It was a fantastic weekend.
By the way, the Super Bowl was not fantastic anyway.
Actually, I believe that Ryan Overturf did not win his match in the finals.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, he didn't need
Jeffrey
to.
Carr, and I think this is like kind of actually important because I don't think this happens like very often, but it is kind of interesting. Jeffrey Carr won every one of his matches.
This is the Mono Red Phoenix player, right? The one that
The Mono Red Phoenix player in the middle seat of the losing team, which is actually a Baltimore local team. Jeffrey Carr, Ian Bosley, and Josh Everly.
didn't he lose in the
Very
finals
low.
of the last Baltimore Open as well to
He
Ross
also
Merriam?
lost the finals- Yep, with Mono Red Phoenix.
Right.
So
Guy just
obviously
never
that
loses.
deck- Yeah, just never loses with that deck. I mean, he lost more matches, but yeah, going essentially 16-0 in a tournament is pretty impressive. Regardless, I've known Jeff for a while, and it's like kind of cool to see local friends of yours because I used to live in Baltimore, and so it's really nice to see these local friends that you see every Baltimore and pretty much only every Baltimore do well in their hometown. It's really nice to see. So big congrats to them. For me personally, I know you guys are talking about losing. I also, unfortunately, did a lot of losing.
Yeah.
But
No one on the
also-
cast did great this weekend.
No, but also I mean I don't know how I don't know how unlucky this is. But in the 8 matches that I played, I mulliganed 16 times.
Yeah, it's about average.
This is about
About average. But speaking of more locals, I actually got to stay with one Kevin King, a team specialist. There was a while there he was like one of the most sought after players on teams. Back when it was like a mad scramble to find good lands players because you were so far ahead if you had a good lands player on your team. He's got a trophy. He's got like multiple multiple finals finishes where he lost in the finals. Just great player overall. I got to hang out with him. He top 16 with kind of a brew, I guess is the way to put it.
Great.
Yeah, his deck is great. He said it was
Why?
like off by a card or two, but it was just blue red Delver. But like
Yeah.
it had 4 light up the stage in it. And some Terramanders and like all kinds of cool stuff like that. Like if you haven't seen that list, go check it out. Sorcery Games puts up all the day 2 deck lists, no matter what their records are. His name is Kevin King. Check out his legacy deck if you like legacy decks that are cool and innovative. And that deck is sweet. He said he's definitely going to work on it some more in the future. Going to try out a thing or two here or there, but he definitely. Now, Rudy, I know you and you and my teammate who was playing Standard, Jim Davis, ended up playing practically the same deck. Like, you played the same strategy at this tournament. And I do think it was actually a really, really good call for the tournament. You played the white weenie deck Splashing Blue.
Yep. There's actually something that we talked about last week on the cast that, very few people played it. In the deck, essentially, it's hard to say the deck overperformed when so few people played it. And if you looked at the stats, I don't know if you got a chance. Did you look at the standard day 2 breakdown?
Not like specifically for that deck, but I do remember it was an outlier.
Yeah. How about you guess how many copies, Brad? How many copies of white, blue aggro, Zorius aggro? How many copies do you think made day 2 of this tournament?
3.
3. Okay. What do you think the worst finish was?
Ninth.
Ninth.
It was actually 11th.
Yeah, so one in the top 8. So one in the top 8, one in the ninth, one in the 11th. So just
Yeah.
two half a win away for making it in top 8 as well.
It won.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Jacob Hagan won the
That's
tournament.
just
with it.
that's just insane. Like the
Yeah.
fact that like also 3 copies kind of made top 8. It also wasn't a deck that I saw a lot of in the Standard Classic at all. But I believe made the finals there too. So I think this deck is maybe not getting enough respect, from players or from either sideboarding or people are just not playing it, and it just seems kind of crazy to me that people aren't playing this deck. It feels like it lines up so well about what's going on. If we take a look at everything else that's going on in Standard, I guess we'll just start with talking about Standard. And
Like I 100% agree with you because like we were talking about it going into it where like this deck seems very well positioned. People just aren't playing it. Like you made a lot of really good points. And when Ross and I both played the Sultai deck week 1, we had any form of Infest in our sideboard, whichever one you want to play, right?
Right.
And I was like, man, I never wanted to board this card in once, like not even close, right? And we were like trying to cut it from our list. You're seeing other people do that. So the metagame was like primed for that to happen. Plus that deck's just good against the white deck's just good against the Sultai deck anyway. Yeah. And then I knew Esper would be big this weekend because the new Wrath is actually pretty good. But when you get to go like 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, negate, or 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, play another spell like Spell Pierce you, they're dead. Like they're very, very dead. And stuff. And so like that's pretty much what happened all weekend long. And I think your team nailed it, my team nailed it on Standard.
Yeah, I think the deck is great. I think it's going to be great going forward. And here's the other thing is one of the detriments to this deck definitely is I think it had last season a pretty bad Golgari matchup. I think Golgari had like actually a reasonably good, white creature matchup. I don't think that's the case anymore. And one of the interesting things is look at the deck list that won. The classic, the Sultai mid-range classic deck. If you do look at it, you might notice something. There's 5 forests and 2 swamps in it. That's a lot of basics, and there's very few, in terms of the shock lands. There's, obviously there's 11. That's a decent amount, but there's a lot of basics, and I think a lot of that is kind of a hedge against these, white aggressive decks. I think it's just something that you have to do, and if you're not going to do that, it's really easy for these white decks to really take advantage of, every time you shock, that's actually just a massive detriment to you.
It's one less attack that they have to make. Yeah.
Right, one less attack that they have to make. It's a lot easier to deal with Wild Growth Walker now. These decks are really good at going far around without getting punished. And the fact that post board you have cards like Spell Pierce and Disdainful Stroke against the Golgari decks, those just end up lining up so well.
Yeah.
And it just looks like the way that the white deck is built. It looks like it lines up really well against everything that's going on right now. So I'm really not surprised to see it take down the event. I'm really not surprised to get second. And this is not like something new that we're seeing. If you look at last week 1 standard, a copy made top 4 of the standard open and the classic as well. And I think Brad actually got Brown playing Drakes and said it's a bad matchup for him. And if we think Drakes is going to line up well against like Esper and the Gates deck, and White Weenie just crushes that deck, I mean, it's definitely a good thing to look into.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. Brad made top 8 of the Open, and I saw Drake's getting played quite a bit. And Brad, this is kind of a nightmare matchup for you, right? Like it feels like it's pretty bad.
Yeah, especially if people start playing Adanto Vanguard, which I think is basically been the switch that people have made over Tithe Taker. It's just like I was like pretty happy that Max wasn't playing Adanto Vanguard, and it still just didn't even matter. I just got round, and like now people are just playing Adanto Vanguard, so you actually have to like respect the deck. Otherwise, you're as a Drake's player, you're just gonna get ran over very, very easily.
Speaking of getting run over, I want to talk about the tournament one more time from my personal experience. In one of the rounds, I got a pretty cool pairing against somebody that I've never played before, and I was super excited to play against them. I got to play against Callie Anderson in this tournament, Todd Anderson's wife. And our team ended up getting on camera that round, but our match was already over. And I would have loved to have heard, and Todd was actually doing commentary that round. I would have loved to have heard Todd do commentary of a match that his wife is participating in. The reason we didn't get to get on camera is she killed me too quickly. Callie browned me. I mean, this match was not close in any realm, and Todd was made aware of it on air live. Like Nick walked over and told him on air live, and his reaction is actually priceless. So if you're one of those people that goes back and watches coverage or likes to see cool stuff, somebody clipped it. It's on Twitter as well. You could probably find it. I think Callie retweeted it possibly or whatever, but it was a pretty cool moment. Thankfully, we somehow won the match, but my part of the match was not competitive at all. So that wasn't very fun.
Wow, that is very similar to the experience I had when my team played against Cali, except our team lost as a whole. But I definitely died very quickly.
Yeah,
and was thoroughly vanquished after 2 very short games.
Yeah, she was playing. If anybody wants to know at home, she's playing what we call Moon Stompy, or the Mono Red Prison deck in Legacy. That deck is a horrible matchup for Grixis Delver, especially since Deathrite Shaman's not legal anymore, and I have not beaten that deck many times, if at all, since Deathrite Shaman's been banned. I came really close to beating it in the Swiss later in the tournament. In fact, I actually felt like I got unlucky to lose to it later in the tournament, which is annoying because I just want to beat that deck one time, Brad. I just want to beat it one time. Is that too much to ask?
It's so satisfying when you do, but every time it's so close, and like they have so many draws where you're just like, yep, that's I'm dead. That was fun.
Yeah, like against my opponent, it was game 1. They chalised me on 1, like on the play. I had a Braid in my opening hand because I played in a Braid main this weekend, and I still lost. Like I just did not do enough. Like they just got a Chandra in the play or something, and I was like, yeah, I'm just dead. Anyway, I think it's about it. We can talk about Standard a little bit more towards the end of the show when we start talking about looking forward to Dallas. But let's go ahead and shift gears a little bit here. There was some more MPL stuff going on this week, and boy, was Twitter up in a what's the right word for this for here? There was some yelling.
Shitstorm.
Yeah, there we go. I was gonna say some kind of storm.
Shitstorm.
Yeah, I was gonna say some kind of storm. Rudy, help me out here. You like to cuss on the cast. There you go. Twitter was.
Whoa. I've never cursed in my life. I don't appreciate your insinuation.
All right, I apologize. All right.
I'm so hurt right now. I've literally never cursed before in my life, and anyone who's ever listened to me talk before knows
that's not true. Don't listen to Rudy. He's making it up. He's been making it up the whole time.
Anyway,
Brad
so
always has to throw me under the bus. You know what, Brad? I'm sick of you.
I thought you were gonna say the stub the toe line that you always say. I hope you stub your toe.
He's switching it up.
Yeah,
that one's old news.
Or
should I say that one's canon news?
You know what else is old news? Brad's old and washed.
That's just not even true.
Hey, didn't even top 8 the tournament this weekend. What happened? Anyway.
Wow, neither
Anyway.
do you, Cannon.
I know,
How are those
God.
team stats now?
God damn it. God damn it. I will say this.
So that's
It
what
was pretty
happens.
funny.
It
was
they
pretty
get rid of Brennan.
Yeah.
It's over.
No, it was pretty funny. Like walking out of the tournament, Matthias was like, up by the front where the coverage was, and I was like walking out. I was like, "Hey, see you later." And he's like, "Way to lower your average finish with a 9th," And I was like, "Oh, well, yeah. I guess it's a good spot to be in." But anyway, so we've talked about the Mythic Championship stuff before here on the show. We've talked about the MPL. There's an event coming up, the Invitational, and they put out the list of players that were the invited players recently, and Twitter has not been happy about that. They've had problems with the list from top to bottom, pretty much. There's already been a replacement. We won't go into too many details, but some old tweets from one of the people that was invited got resurfaced, and boy, were they bad. I don't know if there's any other way to say this, but they were heavily bigoted and very, very bad. They even went along the lines of they tried to defend themselves using the Kevin Spacey defense, and that didn't go over well.
Oh no!
So they have pulled out of the tournament, and one of the people that they themselves weren't vocal about it, but everybody in the community was very vocally wanting into the tournament. Caleb D has now been invited into the MPL. So since this person was a bigot at some point in time, that just made Caleb D at least $7,000, because I think it's $7,500 is like the minimum payment for a person at this tournament. And so, yeah, Caleb just gets handed this. I was like joking with him the other day. I was like, "We're rich," messing with him. But I for one am happy that Caleb made it in this tournament, because this is what we're going to get into. We're going to get into why I'm happy he's in it and why a lot of people were unhappy that he wasn't in it. Some of the people that people were most vocal about not being in the tournament were Caleb Durward and Jeff Hoogland. I think it's safe to say it's not arguable that they are the two biggest streamers in Magic the Gathering. If you look at the analytics, which Jeff posted, they are the two biggest streams. And over the last 9 months, Jeff has had this like meteoric rise to be the most watched stream in Magic, and it's not close. And the problem that he was like highlighting, and the problem that people had on it, is even in the press release from Magic, they said the words, like come play and come watch, the invited players, these persons, your favorite pros, and the biggest streamers in Magic. And I believe they didn't invite any of the top 3. Is that what it was? I think like the 4th highest one got invited, if I remember right.
Yeah, something along those lines.
And so this is one of the things that people are upset about. I personally, I'm okay with whatever they want to do. Like it is misleading to use those words. You should just say some of your favorite streamers. You shouldn't say the biggest streamers in Magic, because you did not involve the biggest streamers in Magic.
Did they say some of the biggest streamers?
No, they literally said, I think the sentence was literally the biggest streamers in Magic.
That is maybe some poor choice.
Yeah.
But I mean, we haven't really known Wizards to be wonderful in their selection of the English language for this. But I wanted to say something about their list, because I looked at the list a little bit, and I think I actually really like their list of invitees. I think it's really easy. I think it was really easy to take a list and go, all right, we're going to take the most, famous people. We're only going to invite, these people, and then we'll get down to other people. But it really looks like, after looking at this list, that they went out of their way to not only get, some of the famous streamers. They also took some of the not so famous streamers. They tried to grab people from a lot of different sects of life. And I think that's a lot of important. And I think this is one of the interesting things that's really easy to kind of forget, is that Magic is a worldwide game.
Right.
There's a lot of representatives. And I think this is also a good way to help get eyes on some of these people. Some of these people are actually really good streamers too.
Agreed.
They're just actually really enjoyable to watch, but they just don't have the same eyes on them that someone like Caleb or Hoagland has built for them. Mm-hmm. And I think that this is also a good way to not only introduce the community at large to a lot of different people, it also is very good for representation. And I think that based on that alone, I mean, I got to tell you, if Hoagland or Caleb didn't get invited to this tournament, I think they're going to be okay at the end of the day.
I agree with that.
I think that it's not really going to hurt their numbers. It's not going to affect what they're doing with their streaming. I think Caleb, went, and then went right back to streaming.
Yeah, exactly. He shrugged. Yeah.
And that's the way it should be, because this tournament isn't necessarily, and this is like part of the issue is I think Hoagland especially kind of went out of his way to make it about him. And I don't think that is correct. It isn't necessarily about him, not being invited as a large streamer. I think there's a lot of different people who are streaming. There's a lot of different people who play Magic, and, we could use them. It's nice to have them. It's nice to help get eyes on them. And I think this is kind of important. And I think this is one of the big reasons that I just like where they went with it.
Brad?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is all great. I like that they didn't necessarily just like go, all right, we're gonna, select the top 32. They took the top 32, and then they weren't like, yeah, let's do 33rd through 64th to give them something.
Right.
Like, they really made a point to invite a lot of the growing streamers who are supporting Arena. Is the big thing too.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
They put a lot of emphasis on Arena being, basically at the forefront of Magic, and these streamers are doing a lot of work to make that so.
Yeah, I think both of you make great points, and you could tell that they also put a big emphasis on diversity as well in the invitees as well, which I think is amazing and very important. If the tournament was literally just say that again.
It's actually something they list at the top too.
Yeah,
it's selected for having both the skill in the audience that will excite fans. Competitors were invited to represent the depth and diversity of the Magic game.
Yeah, because it's important. See, I didn't even read that sentence, but it's important to represent everyone, because do you really want to just watch a tournament where it's just nothing but 20 to 30-year-old guys and white males with beards playing Magic?
Yeah.
Because literally it's the same dude, it's 30, it's pretty much 32 of the same guy. And I know I'm simplifying it and stuff, but you get the point I'm trying to make. I think diversity is what they were shooting for, and I think they did a good job of it. It's never going to be perfect. Not everyone's going to agree with everyone on the list, and that's fine. You don't have to. It's not your job. Sit back and enjoy the damn show. Watch PAX East. Watch the great thing that they put on with this crazy format that they're going to do, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. I think they did do a lot in order to make Magic more inclusive. I think in the past we've been very much about this elitist thing where all that matters is being good at Magic,
results,
and that's just and this results oriented thing where it's oh, you don't have any top 8s, your opinion doesn't matter. And that's just not the case, and it shouldn't be the case. That just deters so many people from wanting to get into the game. I just remember back in the early, well, not early 2000s, but 2006, 7, 8, when I was learning how to play Magic, and there was all the spikes or whatever, the hardcore grinder people, and they just make it so much more miserable than fun.
Agreed. 100% agreed. And speaking about miserable, I think this is a really good spot to segue. So we finally have it announced how we could be a part of the PAX East Mythic Invitational. So did y'all see the ladder system, the Hearthstone ladder system that we're going to be playing under for Mythic this month? So
I did.
8 people are going to get invited to the Mythic Invitational from Arena. So if you're playing an Arena, you could be one of those 8 people. I want to emphasize right now, it's going to be difficult. You're going to have to be one of the top 8 Mythic finishers. I don't know exactly how it works because they didn't narrow it down, because there's multiple ladders. There's best of 1, best of 3. So is it the top 4 and the 4? Is it the top 8? Does anybody know? Have they?
So how it works is, at least my understanding,
right,
is that all best of 3 does is when you're playing best of 3, you just get 2 pips. Okay. So it's basically every best of 3 match is basically 2 wins, and it feeds the same Mythic.
So they're both on the same ladder. So the ladders are combined. So it's one ladder. Okay. So it's going to be top 8 there. I'm going to try to steer this conversation as well as I possibly can, because I have actual personal experience with this, even though it hasn't happened yet in Magic.
Whoa. I have experience. I played the ladder last night, and I got up to gold too. So, I'm practically...
Okay. I meant with
the master of this.
Okay, well, your mastery aside, I meant the the overall experience that people are about to have for possibly the first time playing Arena, because this system was used before and has been used for years in Hearthstone and deciding, big things. I think it's a terrible idea to have any kind of big tournament, spot, money, finish, whatever you want to call it, decided by a ladder like this. It is going to lead to really, really unhealthy behavior. And I mean this in a lot of ways. Like, you're just going to be unhealthy having to sit at your computer 12 hours a day for 30 days straight or 16 hours a day. If you have a job, if you have a significant other, if you have responsibilities at home, you're already at a disadvantage versus some of the people that can dedicate more of their life. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying, there's people out there that can dedicate their lives to Magic. And if you can't, you're already at a disadvantage. For you to finish in this top 8, you're going to have to grind your ass off for this entire month. And then on the last day, probably at least 16 hours of play out of that day. And you're going to have to go on a heater as well.
Just to kind of give you an idea too, Alex Hayne, probably one of the best players in the world, streamed pretty much all day today to stay at number 1 in Mythic.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and if he loses, he's like out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, several hours of streaming, and I mean, obviously, like at number 1, it's it feels it's actually very I can't think of the word that I want to use here, but it's actually just not realistic. It's not actually solid. It's not
obtainable.
Like, oh, I'm safe. I'm safe at 1. I can't really lose that much. That's actually not how it works at all. Because of the way the system works, it's very easy for you to go to sleep at 1, wake up 8 hours later, and you're like 73.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just a very realistic thing that could happen. It just gives you this false sense of confidence that, oh, I'll get here. You have to get there, and you literally have to just grind and grind and grind and grind and hope that you don't go on a losing streak.
Right.
So you're out of it. It's a lot. I really wish that instead they could do something like, I believe, I'm not 100% sure, so I don't want to say this. I believe it's Eternal. Eternal has a system where you place and then you play at a tournament in order to make it in. I think something like that would be great. Top, 200.
Just take the top 64 and make it. You have to 5-0. There you go. There's your top 8. Like,
yeah,
just do something like that. Like, don't just make it this crapshoot, because it's like you said. Like, if you lose the last round on the day, like the last game that you get in, like you might miss out on that. And then the rankings aren't going to be up to the moment, right? So like you'll think you're at rank 3 or you'll think you're at rank 9, and you might need to queue, but you don't know. You're not sure. You're like, can I sit on my number? Do I have to play it with, like, let's say that it ends at noon and it's like 11:57. And you're like, I'm rank 6. What do I do? Like, I have no idea. Do I queue? Like, what if I lose? And there's going to be all kinds of crazy stuff happening on the ladder too. Like in Hearthstone, there was a lot of stuff going on. Win trading, roping people out. Like, let's say hypothetically, if I was going to do this, like Brad is in the like top 10, 15 people, right? And I'm queuing on the ladders while I'm in like, the 100th or whatever, but I queue into somebody who's really high. I can actually just sit there and take the full amount of time in all my turns so that Brad can get multiple games in before they can finish our game.
Yeah, and that's obviously something that I didn't even think about,
Mm-hmm.
but now that you're bringing it up, that just sounds like even worse to me. There's just so many more problems that are arising that I didn't even think of now before, and I'm very turned off by the system, and I hope after this it'll change a little bit.
The thing is like, you're just running the public through qualifications that are like really bad, right? It's a terrible, unhealthy system, and it's worse than normal grinding. Like, think about the grinding people did in the past. They would like fly across the country to go to a Grand Prix or Magic Fest, whatever you want, and they'd go play in like 8 or 10 of them in a couple months span and hope that they'd have a couple of decent finishes and they can make it there. But at least there, you knew where you stood in between every event, right? And you had like a set goal in front of you, like a line that you had to cross. You're like, oh, I need 4 more points over the next 2 events. So like, let's just make day 2s and like, hopefully I'll make it to gold or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Here, you have no idea what's going on. To give you a reference on like how hard it is to accurately understand where you are on the ladder, Hearthstone literally announced today, now that it no longer matters for them since they changed it, today that you can find out up to the second where you're at. Like, they have on their website, you can type your name in, you'll see where you are on the ladder. You know how long that ladder's been in place? It's like 5 years.
Yeah, that's insane.
And that's Blizzard. That's Blizzard,
Yeah. I don't know. We've talked about him a little bit on the cast before, but Manny Devuti has been trying to, hit that #1 mythic slot. He tried to do it last season just so he could say he did it. Manny had 3 different emails after the season ended, correcting his final place in, on Arena in Mythic.
And they don't even know.
Right. And that to me is just actually the most stressful, because if you get an email and you're like, congrats on being 6th.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Then you get another email a couple days later.
Oh, you're 9th.
It's like, hey, my bad. Yeah, you're 9th. Holy shit. I just would feel awful. Like just absolutely atrocious. I would never want to play Arena again. If I was someone who, and this is obviously like something that grinders might do, but maybe somebody picked up Arena, new player, they decide, you know what? I just want to play a bunch. Wow, they're doing really well. Wow, they're mythic. You know what? I'm close enough that I'm going to try. And that you go through all of that and then they reset you because they were wrong in the first place. That's just devastating. I don't know if I was that person, I would ever play Magic again.
Yeah. It's going to lead to some really bad stories. Like, you're going to see some insanely bad stories about what happens. Like, Twitter's going to go nuts in the last few days. I'm going to sit there with some popcorn and feel really bad. Brad, I hope you're ready for this, because I know you said you're going to try. And I'm not trying to deter you. I hope you're just, what you're in for. On the last day,
this is gonna be so easy. I'm gonna play my best, and it's not gonna be hard at all.
I just hope on the last day you bring some snacks, some energy drinks, and a bucket.
Is it really? So I haven't actually thought about that, but I assume playing up to it'll be 3 p.m. for me, so I'll probably wake up early that day, assuming I'm even still in contention.
Yeah, of course. Like, I think when you're in the last couple of days, you can start making plans for it, and you need to start getting serious about it. So, we've heard about that, and kind of like looping back to what we talked about at the beginning, at the invitational type thing. Here's another spot where I kind of have a problem with what's going on in the MPL, because we're slowly getting announcements, right? And they've said this. They're like, we don't want to announce stuff until we know for sure like what's going on. We don't want to give you like half a nugget, you know what I mean? Like half of this or half of that. But what we've gotten so far, people are just kind of like not excited by and not enthralled by, because we're hearing about what's happening with the MPL players, and we've heard nothing for everyone else besides this announcement about here's how you qualify for this invitational. These 8 people, that's it. So that's the only thing we've gotten. Here's where it's striking sour with me. I'm trying not to be as much of a naysayer as a lot of people, but here's where it's striking sour with me. So Wizards makes this announcement a few months ago that we're going into esports, right? And one of the biggest parts of the announcement, we all talked about this on the show, is they're like, we're investing $10 million into this esport. And I think we had fun with it because we were talking about, I said it won't be long until you see major sponsors pulling in here. Like, that's where some of the money's going to come from. Like, you'd be seeing like Magic Fest brought to you by Taco Bell. And literally the next Magic Fest was brought to you by Tigtone. Kind of like what you've been seeing on Star City Games and stuff as well. That revenue stream is no longer an option because they're no longer doing coverage at Grand Prix or Magic Fest, right? So they can't have that kind of thing going. And then you're seeing that we don't have any news yet on the PTQ system. And then we're seeing higher up people are being fired or let go. We're seeing like some judges are being let go. Some photographers are being let go. The orcs online are being let go. I know that's another company, but anyway, but we're seeing slashes in a lot of places, right? Like money being cut. And so that's worrying me because I'm like, does this mean that's where some of the $10 million is coming from? Because we're not hearing anything for us, like the middling players, like the people who have been sold this dream of the pro dream their whole life. Like, you could be a professional Magic player. We're not getting anything from organized play. And so it makes me worry that us saying pay the pros, hashtag pay the pros, and we want this, that they literally just took the money from us and reallocated it to these 32 people. Because that's what it feels like it's happening right now. And that's what it looks like it's happening right now until we get more information. And that's not a good look. It's like hey, pay the pros. We're like, all right, well, we can't afford to pay all of you, so we're only going to pay 32 of you. Yeah, here's the GoFundMe, Every Magic player, here's the GoFundMe. Link your DCI number to it so we know not to give you any prize in the future. You're going to pay their salaries, right? And you have to believe that, their budget didn't increase. This $10 billion has to come from somewhere. And so you're seeing slashes. You're seeing We talked about this at the Magic Fest recently, where the winner, no one knew who won it. There was no coverage, there was no photos, there was no trophy.
There's a forklift guy though.
There was a forklift guy. Thank you, Kevin Jones. There was a forklift guy. I heard of it. That was pretty funny. But I mean, are we just getting too worried? Are we getting too carried away because we haven't heard any of the good news yet?
I would like to see how this, how the first Mythic, how the Invitational and the Mythic Championship go.
Mhm.
I think then we'll have a solid idea if we're like, all right, like this is what they're doing, and like this has a place, or like, you know, there is probably a non-zero chance that we just don't have an MPL next year.
You really think
Like
there's a chance it gets scrapped after 1 year?
Yeah, like
Wow.
where they're just like,
This didn't
hey,
work.
we can't do this. Yeah, like
Wow.
we'll just keep funneling money into Arena, or just like letting Arena funnel money into us, and then we'll just be happy with that. But dumping more money into esports like might just not be what they want to do.
I'm going to dissent from both of you. I do think Arena is, or I do think the Mythic Championship and Arena and all this stuff is 100% going to be happening again next year. I think it is all just going to change. I think I don't understand what this is, but Wizards has for the longest time made a lot of decisions of how they're going to run tournaments or anything else, and they're making decisions that appear to be, what do other people do? We kind of want to do something like that, but we don't want to do the same thing. And so they change a lot of what works in the system to do their own thing, find out that it doesn't work, and then 2 years later they change it to go back to something that kind of works and makes sense.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of my guess, obviously this might not be true, but my guess is that this year a lot of us are going to hate the way the system works. Next year, we're going to like the way the system works a lot more. And then the year after that, I think the system's going to be great. But I think,
Yeah.
you know, Magic is very slow moving at times. And I know especially this podcast and the three of us have been extremely critical of the things that Magic does. But I really hope that a lot of what we do breeds more to help discussion
Mhm.
and whatnot, but as opposed to just being, you know, completely negative. And that's something that I really like, because I feel like we have a lot of really good discussions that kind of lead somewhere instead of just, you know, kind of echoing chamber how much we hate
Right.
everything to each other. Brad?
No, I definitely think that. Well, while I do think there is a non-zero chance that we don't have the MPL, I think what we've seen so far is likely going to exist in some capacity. It also could, like you said, it could be like a couple-year plan. Like this could be, hey, we need to establish, you know, the top percent of players. Let's get them taken care of. So we'll focus on 32 this year. Let's get that set in stone. We'll figure it out. And then once they do that, they'll be like, all right, now let's make a B league or something of like, you know, 32 more players.
Like the minor league kind of thing, like
Yeah,
like
exactly.
a AAA team. Yeah.
And or expand to some other program. But mostly like they can only work through it in small chunks. So it's better to like, you know, start throwing the blocks
Mhm.
up there rather than just have 1,000 puzzle pieces
Yeah.
all over and try to build something. They could just like
That makes
focus
total
on just
sense.
the corner piece.
Yeah.
No, that's a great idea.
And so, like, I really agree with both of you, you know, and like maybe even somewhere in the middle, because like I do think this is probably going to end up shaking out better than we think it's going to. You know, the sky isn't falling, hopefully, blah, blah, blah. But you got to remember, this is brand new for Wizards. You know, they were probably, I mean, even in their wildest dreams, might not have understood how successful Arena was going to be and how big it was going to be and how much it was going to resonate with people who had never played a game of Magic in their life. And they're like, dude, this game's great. I want to try this. I've always heard Magic's great, but like, I didn't want to pay, you know, $1,000 for a deck and then have my deck get banned and stuff like that. And so like now they have these online options that are just better. And so you can even see it in their pressures. They don't know how to spell esports. Like they keep using hyphens and like capitalizing wrong letters and stuff. We talked about this years ago. How to type about esports. Anyway, I go beyond that, but you get what I'm saying. They're just new, right? And they're feeling around and like they're figuring it out. And hopefully they figure it out. I've got high hopes for this. I really, really do.
I mean, as I said earlier, like this is something that we kind of like do the rigmarole all the time, where Magic is like, we're gonna do this, and the community goes, no, please don't do that, and Magic goes, trust us, and then a year later they're like, all right, we heard what you had to say, we decided that
We're
we're
sorry.
going to change. We're sorry.
Yeah, we're sorry. After much self-reflection.
Yeah.
I think it would be pretty sweet if at the end of all this, while like at the cost of like Magic Fest coverage and stuff like that, we just have like a weekly LCS/Overwatch League thing.
Oh, that's happening
and
for
we
sure.
just- and we just have like a whole season of it, and I think that would be
It's-
pretty cool.
Yeah,
You
One-
get invested in the players.
Yeah, I guarantee that as long as this is as successful it has been and don't get us wrong, if you don't think that Arena has been massively successful, you're just wildly off the base here. The Arena is just incredible. It's amazingly popular. People are joining new every day. In fact, I'm going to do something right now. I'm going to pull up Magic the Gathering, and I'm going to check.
Oh
like,
god,
how
this
many
is
people are
depressing.
watching.
Yeah.
No,
Oh, I thought no. I thought you were gonna pull up like MTGO to see the leagues because the leagues have been shrinking quite drastically.
Oh
MTGO.
no, we're not going to worry
Yeah.
about that.
But
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 right
while you
now,
look that up, I'm gonna kind of piggyback what Brad said because like I think he's definitely right. I think we're getting it sooner rather than later. Like I think something's Thursday Night Magic. Like I could just see the Monday Night Football thing, but like TNM or something, and like anyone who's ever watched the Super League. Or Rudy, you've participated in a mediocre league as like, the joking spinoff. You know what I mean? If anybody's ever watched one of those leagues thing, I think you're just going to get that times 10.
yes, I think it's going to be great. And I can't wait for that. And just to give you an idea, because I did look it up, right now Magic's at 13K, and that's low currently.
Yeah.
You know what's above it right now? Minecraft at 14K, Overwatch at 15, Kingdom Hearts 3, which just came out, at 15K, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate 15K, PUBG 15K. A couple of years
The
ago,
cream of the crop. Yeah.
we were literally talking about how we just wanted that to happen so bad.
There'd be like 4,000 people watching.
yeah,
on
It
the
would
best days.
It would
Yeah.
just be terrible. In fact, do you want to know who the top Magic streamer is right now? Take a guess who you think it is.
It's not Caleb yet?
It's not Caleb. Caleb is losing out to Vintage Super League right now.
Shahar.
Caleb's third. Shahar is close, but he's not quite there.
Who is it?
I'll tell you, it's Day 9.
Oh, that's awesome.
And obviously, Day 9 has had this long affair with Magic. He got a special invite to a pro tour back in the day, and all that stuff is really good for Magic. But he's not being sponsored right now. Day 9 is literally just loves Magic and is just playing Arena because that's just what he wants to do. And this is the kind of thing that we're going to start seeing, a lot more of. If we take a look at, some of the invitees to the list, a lot of them are former Hearthstone players. And to be honest, I'm not super surprised at that. And I expect this to just kind of be the norm going forward. There are just so many people that are starting to pick up. I mean, even Cedric. Cedric is streaming right now. When was the last time Cedric streamed? Arena has been nothing but good, and I can't imagine that we're going to lose anything about the MPL. I just think it's just going to grow bigger and bigger over the next couple of years.
Well, Cedric got invited to the Mythic Championship. He better start streaming Arena.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm sure they had a talk with him whenever they told him he was invited. Like, hey, stop bad-mouthing us so much, and can you make us look a little better kind of thing, But
Please stop being mean.
yeah, please stop bullying us.
Look, we did this nice thing. Now, just say kind words. Hashtag sponsored.
Hashtag sponsored, yeah. But yeah, I think overall, and here's the thing. The negative voices are usually the loudest, right? Like when you go online, you go on Yelp or anything, you look up a company, like you don't notice the 5-star reviews that are like, this place is great. You notice the one that has like the 6 paragraphs about the problem that they had. It's a 1-star review, will never go again, like that kind of thing. So usually the loudest voices are the negatives. You know what I mean? But anyway, let's move on. I think overall, it's great. I think MPL is going to be amazing. It hasn't even started yet. I think that's another thing that we haven't mentioned, that the MPL technically hasn't even started yet, right? Like we haven't even seen the first MPL thing. And we've already people are like, this is a huge mistake, blah, blah, blah. So let's give it time. Let's let it work out. All right. So coming up this weekend, Rudy, you are not going, but Brad and I are both going to be, you're not going, right?
No, unfortunately I'm not going. I actually love Dallas. Dallas is one of the places that I really love going to. There's so much good food. The temperature always feels great.
Yes.
By the way, I've never been to Dallas where I'm like, wow, this is way too hot, or wow, this is way too. It always feels like a very temperate climate. It's enjoyable. I love the food. No, but unfortunately, I'm not going. I do actually have work this weekend. I will be working. This is kind of the downside of having to get new jobs and switching everything around in your life is sometimes you don't get to play as much Magic, but that's okay. I know a bunch of people are going, and I'm sure they'll do fine.
Yeah. So, like I said, we're gonna have Dallas this weekend. Let's go ahead and talk about the food because you're gonna miss out on where I'm going 100% either Friday or Saturday night. I haven't decided yet. It'll probably be Saturday night, maybe Sunday night on the way out because I'm driving. There's a place not far from the site. It's about 2-3 miles away. Bradley, I hope you join me. It's called the Velvet Taco.
Ooh, that's nice.
This place has my favorite taco in the world. The menu is great. If you're a vegetarian, it has a lot of really good options as well. Ross Merriam. And so we always look into that. There's a bunch of other good things around. If you can't make it to Velvet Taco, there's a place called Torchy's Tacos. This is also insanely good. I actually tried to get a franchise here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. They told me no. You bastards. At the time, there's only 1 or 2. I think there's like 18 in the Dallas-Fort Worth area or something now. If you go, I highly recommend getting a Democrat. That is the name of the taco. Don't do anything to actual people. I meant the taco is called a Democrat. I'm trying to think of what else is in like the little area. If you're actually at the site itself, directly across from it, there is a Starbucks for all of you coffee fiends and breakfast sandwich people. It's literally right outside the door, so it's a lot. This is also one of the best places for food options right around the actual site itself. Also across the street there's a bar called Whiskey and Rye. Now you are going to pay the few extra dollars that you do at like most bars for bar food or whatever, but Rudy, I've actually had lunch with you here multiple times. The food's good. Like it's actually good. They have billiards.
Definitely impressive.
And the place is nice. Yeah, it's clean.
It's definitely one of those places you walk into, you're like, this is just a restaurant and a hotel.
I should be dressed a little nicer for this.
Yeah, it's either that or it's like, oh, this is just going to be like, $20 for like 3 chicken wings. And, I try to eat it and somebody comes over and gasps because I'm using my hands and not a fork and a knife. Yeah, it's that's like how it can feel, but the food's actually good. It's pretty reasonably priced. I've always had a pretty good time.
And if you go out, say 1 mile radius, like a 1 mile circular radius in some of the blocks down there, you have a bunch of different foods. There's like another Mexican restaurant that's great. There's some more bars that you can get into, sports bars, kind of places like that, all the way up to, I believe, is it Fogo de Chao that's there, or is it Texas de Brazil? There's one of the Brazilian steakhouses. There's some other steakhouses in the area. If you wanted to get like, if this is like your one Magic thing of the year, a lot of people from Oklahoma don't get a lot of events. So Dallas is like their 1 or 2 stops of the year. So if you're looking for a good one, or like you just made your first day 2 at an SCG event, you want to celebrate, there's some really cool steakhouses and stuff in the area too. So there's definitely food ranges all the way from like fast food all the way up to like, we're talking $50, $60, $70, $100 a plate. So lots of really great options. Dallas is one of my favorite stops in the entire tour. One of the only negatives about it is the airport is so far from the site, because the airport is in like the Dallas-Fort Worth area while the site is in Fort Worth, like way west.
There is one thing that I do want to say. There are 2 sushi places.
Oh,
I can't remember which one. I think it's this one. I went to Piranha Killer Sushi.
Mm-hmm.
I think that one. It's down it's actually really close to where the convention center is. That one was really good. I really like that one a lot.
Yeah, I remember the MGG guys were talking about there was a Thai place that was really good, and there's like an ice cream place that's really good. I can't Thai, and I can't participate in the ice cream stuff as much as you guys, but I know they were big on the ice cream place. Do you remember that place, Brad?
I believe Dallas has the gelato place.
That's
like
what
insane.
It was. Yeah,
because I think we tried to go there after Andrew won the Standard Open, and we got really mad because they were closed because it was winter and they changed their hours.
You just want to eat gelato out of the trophy?
No, we just wanted to eat gelato because we love gelato.
Yeah, gelato is just delicious, Tana. I don't understand.
I can actually have gelato.
I'm actually really disappointed. I was gonna go to a local gelato place after this. It's about 10 p.m. my time. Place closes. I thought the place closes at 11. Do you know what it actually closes at?
In 5 minutes.
It actually closes at 10. So I'm extremely disappointed. I was gonna go get gelato at some point in time tonight. That is not gonna happen.
Go to a grocery store and just get you like a pint of ice cream. Eat the whole thing.
Ooh, the Halo Top or whatever.
Yeah. I can have that too. I can eat that too.
I actually don't like Halo Top at all.
Well, hey man, some of us, that's our only option, all right? It's one of the only ones I can eat.
They help the options. That way you don't hate yourself after a pint, because it's only like 300 calories.
First off, joke's on you. I'm going to hate myself no matter what. That's number one. Number 2,
I'm going to tell you the same thing that I tell other people who cry about Taco Bell. Get a stronger stomach.
Get a stronger stomach.
Go ahead, turn yours in.
Build up your endurance to bad food.
Yeah. All right, but here's the real thing. You're going to Dallas this weekend. Esper crushed the event. I don't know if you took a look at the standard.
Yeah, I think it's a very good deck.
There were 4 copies of Esper Control in top 8. 4. That is massive. And obviously, team tournament, I have to be a little bit skeptical, of some of the events. Obviously Jeff Carr went 16-0, so he did a lot of carrying in the modern seat. Obviously Ian Bosley did not play Esper, he played Sultai. Yeah, but overall, each player has to do like a reasonable amount of winning, and 4 copies is a lot to put into a top 8. And there's also another copy in the classic top 8. Esper's here to stay. Is this a deck that you think you'd want to join everyone in play, or do you think you're going to off it and change it?
No, I definitely think you should. You should be looking into this, and there's a reason why. The deck is just very, very good. Mortify's in a very good spot right now. Absorb's in a very good spot right now. Both these cards are very well positioned. Teferi is as good as it's ever been. There's no reason you should be off of Teferi. And one of the reasons we were kind of shying away from the deck at first is we thought it would have problems with like the Hydroid Krasis decks, since it's a cast trigger. But I kept playing against Esper, and they would just like kill my Hydroid Krasis, like flip their Azcanta, and then I would just get buried. They have enough 2-for-1s in a bunch of spots and enough removal that they can maneuver the game into a spot where they can get a Teferi in play, and like it should be able to be protected and win the game from there. So big buyer on Esper for this week. I think it's going to be good. Brad, what do you think?
My pal Andy J actually participated in the Baltimore Open, and he played Esper. He also happened to give his 75 to Edgar, who ended up top 4ing the event.
Yeah, he said the deck was gas.
I believe Andrew's record in the event was actually pretty good. I think it was Ben and Peter who went like 2-5 and like 3 and something. They did not do a lot of winning, but I believe Andrew won almost all of his rounds. So I don't know if it's here to stay. The deck seems pretty powerful. I think it'll probably just settle in as just another very good deck that you can choose based on the weekend. Because I talked to Andrew at the end of Baltimore, and he said he'd likely play it, but he's obviously going to play more matches to see, where the meta ends up shifting, especially with if the white blue deck creeps up. I don't actually know that matchup. I would have to imagine it might actually be in the favor of the aggro deck, but I could be wrong.
I think it just matters depending.
The white aggro deck versus Esper.
Yeah, the white blue one specifically.
Secretly, I actually think Esper's favored.
Really?
Yeah, I think like Kai's Wrath lines up, reasonably well game 1.
It lines up well against Spell Pierce.
moment of craving. Yeah, and then post board you get Spell Pierce, and they get Hostage Taker and Basilica Belhan. So
Basilica Belhan is so good.
Yeah, it's so is Hostage Taker. Hostage Taker is also secretly unbelievable against the white aggro deck. These Esper decks are adapting, and I don't know if the white aggro decks are adapting as much. I got to tell you, if I were to play a tournament this weekend with white blue, I already gave my Zorius. I already gave my deck list to Brian Basoko and Taylor Spain, a couple other people who asked for it. I also wrote about it in my article, I think, as well. I think Dogenbon actually might be really good in the sideboard because I think Esper's a tough matchup, and you want something that can give you card advantage
and sit around. Yeah,
plus something that is insulated naturally from something like Kai's Wrath. So I think that's a card that I might kind of lean towards. I also think right now, based on the meta and based on what's doing really well, I think Disdainful Stroke might be significantly better than Negatas right now. And I think if you're going to play this deck, I think you want to make your counter spell suite Disdainful Stroke plus Spell Pierce.
Yeah, we played Disdainful Stroke at the Open, and it was very, very good.
Yeah, it's just unbelievably good right now. There's so few decks that you can't use Disdainful Stroke on. Obviously mono red, the white aggro decks, but sure. But like Sultai, Disdainful Stroke's very good against Esper. It's very good against Gates, Nexus. I'm sure you could go through a long list of cards or a long list of decks that Disdainful Stroke is going to line up really well against. So I think if I were to play, I think I would honestly run back the white aggro deck, despite the fact that I mulliganed 16 times in a single tournament, I felt very strongly that the deck was just really good, and I almost won like a ton of those games.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, Jim
You know,
mulliganed a ton as well, and like just was the deck was still just good enough. Like because you should be, I think you should be mulliganing pretty aggressively. Like 4 land hands are just like not keepable in that
Right,
deck.
and
Like you're gonna lose.
yeah.
Like
In the games that I lost, like I felt like I was just a card short here and there. You know, so maybe
Exactly.
I messed up somewhere down the road, or maybe sometimes I just mulliganed a couple too many times. But overall, like I big fan of the deck, and I mean I'm sure you both know this, and I'm sure listeners at home know this. I'm not really known for my white aggro love. I'm not really the white weenie guy. I'm certainly the Sultai mid-range guy and the Esper control guy. And the fact that I'm not really interested in either of those decks right now, I think should speak to the power level of this deck and how good I think it is.
yeah, I think for sure that that is definitely one of the better choices this weekend, along with Esper. I think you shouldn't sleep on the Gates deck, especially like the Drake Sasser kind of build. He had an amazing weekend. He did very well in the Open personally. They didn't make day 2, but he actually made a really, really deep run into the Classic as well. And he just talks about how the deck is just secretly very, very good. There's some cards in there that are just very, very powerful. And if you understand how to sideboard your matchups, I think it can help out a lot. I have a sleeper pick for this weekend, though.
Okay.
Mono, blue, whatever you want to call it.
Mono blue aggro.
Yeah.
Does
Mono
that?
blue
I got to tell you, I don't
soup.
know how good that deck is against the white deck. But if no one's playing the white deck, which they haven't so far, and if Drake's is like also on a little bit of a downswing, I think the mono blue deck is great against Esper and great against the Gates deck.
It's very good. It's good enough against Golgari, like the Golgari variants and stuff. Like
Yeah. I believe it was like it mostly showed up because it beat the hell out of the green black.
Yeah, I think I don't know how much I believe that. I believe a lot of people said that, like that was the common line of mono blue's really good against Golgari.
It is.
I played a lot of Golgari. I didn't really lose to it. I know Misplaced Ginger pretty much never lost to mono blue aggro, and I know that was kind of the same theme for a lot of different people. I just don't ever felt like that was actually the case. I mean, I understand why people would think it's the case, but in practice, it just didn't feel like that was actually the case. But
I've never beaten a decent hand from them. Like when they have like one of the better draws, I've just never beaten it, even with my deck having a very good draw.
The one drop into Curious Obsession into with protection is just basically unbeatable.
Yeah. Yeah, like
It's
that.
actually insane.
Yeah, if you're good at drawing Curious Obsession, this is a deck for you. If you're good at drawing that card, like, you know what I mean?
Okay.
I do think the deck is very good. I recommend that you play with it before you play it in a tournament though, because it's gonna feel weird trying to play this in a tournament because it's not like mono red where you just put all your creatures into play on curve. That is not how you play this deck. This deck definitely needs to juke and jive a little bit. If you've played Drakes in Standard before, you'll kind of have a natural feel for the deck. I think Brad can kind of understand what I'm getting at here because he's played the deck a lot. There's a lot of times you play your creatures like one turn later than you're supposed to, right? To kind of leave up Spell Pierce, Dive Down, take advantage of cards like Wizard's Retort. I mean, the deck gets to play actual factual counterspell, right? And I do think this deck is in a uniquely good spot and could possibly be a very good deck to play this weekend. I know it's on my short list of decks that I'm considering, and I've actually been jamming it a bunch on Arena the last few days, so I'm putting my money where my mouth is too.
I do think the deck could be very good as well. I also like the play style of the deck.
Same.
And like with the lack of mono red in the format, it could be quite good.
That's another point I didn't make. I think that's like one of the biggest things is if you play against a skilled mono red opponent and they know how to play the matchup, I think that matchup's pretty hard. And we've seen mono red kind of getting pushed out, right? You know, it's having a harder time against Sultai, it's having a harder time against Esper. You know, a lot of these decks that are just like very good. That's another reason why.
Bad deck.
Yeah, that's also another reason why the white deck was doing better now too. Is like you're not seeing 4 chain whirlers every round. You don't have that pressure to play around too. So the white deck was even doing better. So you're kind of seeing Standard being where it needs to be, right? There's all these good playable decks, and it's just like, well, these are getting popular this week. Let's play the deck that's good against those. Here's that rock paper scissors. Even you can go a little further. DC and E. Or whatever, like extra decks towards the end.
Lizard and
Spock. Yeah. I was gonna get there, but I wasn't gonna do it. But
there's no reason to get there.
Yeah.
All right, so if you had to play a deck this weekend, Tannen, mono blue.
yeah, I think so.
Brad.
Probably Drake's as of right now.
Okay.
I think the deck's still good.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think all of those are good choices. Obviously, I play the Azorius aggro deck. I'm a pretty big fan of it so far.
I would think I'd be like 50-50 between just how I felt like I wanted to play that day. There's also a chance I'd play Esper because I do like a control deck, but I don't know if I want to subject myself to as many mirrors as you're going to probably see, because I think their mirror is going to be more prevalent than normal. So I recommend having some kind of haymaker for that.
Yeah, don't play Chromium. Chromium is an actual piece of cardboard in your deck.
Yeah.
It's, not very good.
Play something else.
The reason that I also thought Chromium might have been pretty good. Maybe I was sleeping on it until I played an Esper Mirror, and my opponent on the play went end step Chromium, attack you for 7, lose the game.
Yeah.
When I don't know what else needs to happen. If my opponent like attacks me for 14 with a Chromium and gets to play it on the play, I just don't know what else you need. If that's not good enough, I can't imagine it's ever going to be good enough in the mirror. It's obviously pretty bad against the mid-range decks. They all have a lot of answers, and it's atrocious against the aggro decks. So it's
all right.
Yeah. So I think that's where we're all at. Definitely next week we'll talk a little bit more about Legacy, since Legacy is going to be coming up as one of the next tournaments, and I know the three of us really love Legacy.
Yes,
really
sir.
love Legacy. So I'm pretty excited.
Not anymore.
Talk about that next week.
This man does poorly at one tournament. Look.
Yeah, I hate Legacy now.
Because I didn't get to just run people over.
Yeah, it's
Death
terrible.
Right
I miss
carried
Deathrite
you.
Shaman.
Yeah,
Bring him
because
back.
Deathrite carried you, and now you have to actually make decisions in the game. Sorry, Brad.
No, I don't get to make decisions. My opponents just wasteland me, and I don't have any threats in play, and I don't have any lands, and I'm really sad, and I just have all these cards in my hand, and they don't do anything, and then I die.
Yeah. So why don't you just try playing a better decks? I don't know what to tell you. It's just,
rude.
You're just like, Deathrite Shaman can't carry me through my games anymore. I have to actually make decisions. This sucks. Yeah,
Listen,
you're right.
I'll just be a storm god.
All right. Yeah, good luck. I'd love to see it. Storm's great. We'll talk about that later. So before we get out of here, Tannen, Brad's really sad. He needs to find you on social media. How can Brad find you?
You can find me on Twitter at the Tannen Grace. You can also find me on Twitch under just Tannen Grace. There I stream pretty much every day that I'm not traveling. I've been taking an extra day off here or there because I've been traveling so much lately. It's been taking it out of me. I'm a little tired. But you can find me on either one of those. You can talk to me on either one of those. Brad, where can people find you?
They can find me at twitch.tv/BradBorigmas Enraged. You can also find me on Twitter at Brad Borigmos. And you can reach me via email that I check once in a million years at thetannengrace@gmail.com. That's me. That's where you can get a hold of me. And where can people find you, Rudy?
If you're looking to find me, you can find me at the Notorious BZA on Twitter. You can check out my articles on CoolStuffInc.com, and of course, you're more than welcome to reach out to me anywhere you can for coaching. I'm more than free and more than happy to do any of that at any time. I got to hang out a little bit with one of the people that I've been coaching this weekend at SCG Baltimore. He said he was really happy with what was going on. He said he learned a lot. He said played standard first team, felt real comfortable, was real excited to play the classic. And, sometimes, things don't work out, but he said he felt a lot better about his play and said he felt like it was helping him.
Hey, can I talk about one of my students for like 2 seconds real quick? Sure. So I had somebody ask me for Tron coaching recently, and we've gone through a couple sessions of Tron coaching, and I think this player is actually just very smart. This person, I'm not going to name names, but I think they're actually very good, and they had a good base and a good head on their shoulders while they're coaching. So last weekend while I was at the Open, they told me they were going to play a couple leagues during the weekend. So I asked him how it went. He said that he played 3 leagues and that he was 15-0. So I think we're going to do the whole student become the master thing, because I probably need coaching from this guy now. So nice little shout out to him for just crushing it lately.
Yeah, for sure. So that's really awesome. I'm glad that, our coachees are doing so well. But maybe you don't care about Tan and Brad or I personally. Maybe you just really like the podcast. And if you do, thanks. We appreciate everything that you do for us. So the way you can support us is, of course, tuning in every week. That's the most important thing. That's what we appreciate the most. Just tuning in, listening. If you want to listen, you can go ahead and tune in every week on SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, or your favorite podcasting app. We'd love to find you anywhere. Make sure you tune in. Make sure you let us know. You can let us know how we're doing on Twitter at GrindersCastMTG. You can also email us at grinderscastmtg@gmail.com. But maybe you want to help us out directly. We have a Patreon. That's patreon.com/grinderscastmtg. You can support us there per episode, or you can set your limit for the month. We appreciate it. We do have signed tokens that go out to everybody who have $5 or more, and we have a special gift coming for everyone who's a $10 patron or more coming up. I'm still working on that. I know I have to be a little more secretive for a while, but when I do, I think everyone will like it.
It's really cool. I've seen it.
We also have a Discord. We also have a Discord coming up, or we also have a Discord that's coming up.
Sorry, Rudy. I'm sorry, Rudy.
Join us. You can join us. Hit !Discord or podcast, either my, Tannen, or Brad stream. We also have a link on the Twitter. Join us. Hang out. Everyone likes hanging out in there. We have a good time. Everyone memes, chills, asks us questions. If you are a patron, you do get a special patron channel in our Discord, and you have direct access to myself, Tannen, and Brad. We post our deck list in there before every tournament. So you'll always be able to check out what we're playing, usually on Friday night or Saturday morning, and you can feel free to ask us questions. And, obviously everyone is free to ask us questions, but it's a lot easier and more direct if you're a patron as well. So I think that is going to do it for us for this week. That was episode 67.
That's so many episodes.
Yeah,
we're getting so close.
Episodes. I feel like we're saying this every week, but, it's definitely great. But, I do appreciate, everyone's support, everyone who's tuning in. Our numbers are growing. More and more people are tuning in. And I know I really appreciate it. I'm sure Tannen and Brad do too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, fuck you guys. That'll be it for us. We'll catch everyone next week.
Peace.
I already called. Good.
Yeah, I know
All right.
you already called.
Brad, are you getting on?
I gotta go,
Yeah.
boys. I will
Let
see
me
you all later.
let me fire up stream.
Later, Rudy.
Go make some coffee.
Later, Rudy. Sorry for cutting you off there and breaking your train of thought.
All right, left the call, so I ruined that for you.
Where am I hearing you still? Hearing you in Zencaster? Okay.
Yeah. Why do you not want to hear me in Zencaster?
Oh no, it's just like I had to change the view so they don't just see the call thing anymore because your faces disappear. But I am hosting you, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna go live in literally 3 seconds.
All right, start typing that out. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Y'all are great. See y'all for the podcast next week, and see you for streaming tomorrow. I got a bunch of stuff I got to do, but I'll probably be able to.
I am live.
It's Brad, Bori, G, Moss, Enraged, right?
Yep.
All right, host that. I think it worked. All right.
Yeah, I got the notification.
Peace.
Thank you, Tan. Peace.